Action.
Welcome back to the Bay, baby. Episode 4, Hidden Pearls podcast. Bruce and Emma here. We are super excited to be coming back to California, to the Bay, San Jose, really, but super excited. Niners have a 3-week stand at home, and we are praying to all the football lords that somebody will let us in, even if it's, I don't know, I just really want to go to a game.
I didn't know where you were going with that whole seance thing.
I just want to go to a football game.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so we have a really stacked lineup for y'all tonight, or whenever you watch this. We have Mike McGlinchey, George Kittle, and then Bill and Billy from Martha's Kitchen. So Martha's Kitchen is a food bank in San Jose. We actually volunteered there for Thanksgiving last year, and the Niners and Mike and George are going to talk about that. So super excited. We feel very privileged to be talking to Bill and Billy as they are Hidden Pearls, and this whole podcast is about Hidden Pearls. And so our mission statement, just to be very, very clear, is our goal is sharing the untold stories of the people and communities impacted by social and environmental injustice and the organizations serving them. We seek to raise awareness, increase understanding, build connections, promote healing, and ultimately make a change. And so we feel we had some great conversations with our interviews this week with Mike, with George, and our friends at Martha's Kitchen. And the t-shirts that we are wearing this week are Mission Blue. Yay, we love the ocean. Pops, tell us about Mission Blue.
Well, Mission Blue is an organization you kind of look at out there, but they're ocean conservation and marine safety and that. So they're trying to basically protect oceans, reduce plastic in the ocean, reduce one-time plastic consumption, and also working in particular, with whale population and sharks and all those guys, and I guess women species. Don't want to leave anybody out, that help create a balanced ecosystem out in the ocean. So big fan of Mission Blue. And so if you haven't heard about them, they've got a great website. You can take a look at that, and encourage to get involved, find a way to make a difference in the environment. And let's work together to end climate change and reduce our use of plastics.
And register to vote.
Register to vote and early vote. Early voting starts almost everywhere. Some places it's already started. So check your local state rules and laws, and register, go vote, and take a friend. Thank you.
So with that, let's pitch it right into our quote corner, Mr. BK.
Yeah, thank you very much. So each week we're doing a little bit of a quote. And this week's quote this is from Lori Harder. So you might know she's a Instagram and fitness person and lifestyle and all that kind of stuff.
Self-love expert. That's what it says on Google.
Okay, there you go.
Lori. Great abs.
I like it. Okay. Anyway, so here's from Lori. So life is hard for 2 reasons. Either because you are leaving your comfort zone or because you are staying in it. I'll read that one more time for you. Life is hard for 2 reasons. Either because you are leaving your comfort zone or because you are staying in it. So just a little thought, encouragement, whichever. So I read that this past week and within the last couple of weeks. I really liked it. So here's the thing. If you're staying in your comfort zone, and each of us know what those comfort zones are, and I just want to say, one is be gentle with yourself, but it's a natural inclination to stay there because we work hard. We want to stay with what we know and that we do that. And staying in that comfort zone at first, it feels good because there's no uncertainty. We know how to do it. We're an expert in that area. And it's really obviously comfortable. So we're staying there. But here's the thing. There's no growth there. It's really, really, really hard to grow when you're staying inside your comfort zone all the time, if you don't push yourself out. So, and the other thing, over time, it just gets stagnant because you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. So it's easy and it's comfortable, but in all honesty, I've learned in my life, easy and comfortable are kind of my enemy. And I know that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but if we're not challenging ourselves, if we're not pushing ourselves and we're not stepping outside of that comfort zone, then we're kind of staying in there. And here's what tends to happen with the people that I work with. If they're staying in that comfort zone long enough, it feels good for a while, but eventually your heart and your spirit and your mind and even your body, they're going to reach out to you and they're going to say, hey, we got to do something different. And you eventually will be uncomfortable trying to stay in your comfort zone. But so that's if you're staying. If you're leaving your comfort zone, okay, so here we go, right? That's uncomfortable too, because now you're doing new things. You're doing hard things in different ways, and you're doing challenging things. But that road is where you're pushing yourself, you're reaching to your edge, you're embracing those challenges and the unknown. So one of our overarching philosophies is that all life experiences are opportunities for growth and learning. And if you're leaving that comfort zone, that's where you get an opportunity to kind of engage all that. So it's not easy, and there's going to be struggle and discomfort, and there's hard work, which is actually the definition of leaving your comfort zone. And so we're encouraging, take a look, and wherever that edge is, kind of continually be pushing yourself on that way. So Emma, and I know you've been in and out of comfort zones in your life, so I don't know, you want to add anything with that, or we?
The universe is going to come calling for you. And when she does, you have a choice that you're going to either put your feet in the ground and resist, or you can walk through the door that she's opening. And all of my biggest struggles have been when I start to grip down and I start to say no. This isn't happening. This is not what I want. This isn't the direction I wanted. And I've said this in multiple podcasts, but the most pain that has come from my life is when I start to think wow, I am really in control. This is what I'm doing. This is the plan. Because dude, if I have learned anything over my 29 years is that life changes and you have to adapt or be crushed by it. And so just listen when the universe is talking to you. I think there are a lot of really great cues and a lot of different signals that come into our life. And I think something that I've at least been reading a lot about on social media and talking to my friends about, but during this pandemic, is that people have had a really interesting opportunity to look inward and listen and regroup and think about what's going on in their life and define their new normal. And so your new normal is not going to be the same that it was before COVID. And we're going to talk about that a little later in the podcast too, but just being open to it and listening to the universe and listening to the guides and listening to the signs that are coming into your life, because there are no such things as coincidences. All right, let's get ready.
No? Okay. I don't know.
All right, so coming up, we have our interview with George and Mike. So let's get our fabulous 49ers on. All right, everybody, week 4, we are joined here with our very first 49er, Mike McGlinchey. Thank you so much. We have our right tackle, yee, big dog in the house. Thank you, Mike. We're so excited. So a little bio on Mike. Mike played college ball at Notre Dame, was drafted by the Niners with the 9th pick of the first round in the 2018 NFL draft. He is listed at 6'7", 6'8" inches, and about 310 pounds. Is that still accurate, big boy?
Yeah, it's about right.
How the joints feeling?
They're good. Massive human. Yeah, do a lot of work to keep the joints moving well, but it definitely takes a lot of upkeep for sure.
Yeah. A lot of food and a lot of maintenance.
It's a lot of body part to keep lubed up. Yeah.
So, since we are playing the Eagles, fun fact: Mike grew up in Philly, and where right around there. And then, were you an Eagles fan while you were growing up?
I was, yeah. So I grew up in a town called Warrington, Pennsylvania, which is about 30 minutes outside the city of Philadelphia. And I was an Eagles fan up until the age of about 12 or 13. And then my older cousin, Matt, got drafted to the Falcons. So my family kind of jumped ship because we were loyal to the family and not the city. And, some people still don't get that, but, it works out well.
Yeah, no doubt. So, and just for clarity, if you don't know that, so one of your first cousins, I believe, right, is Matt Ryan, QB for the old Falcons there. So the close connection there that they kind of stay in touch. So football certainly runs in the family. So, and by which side of the family are you related to Matt then? Is it?
So Matt's mom and my mom are sisters.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Well, and I've met your mom on several occasions.
Yeah.
And always feel better as a better human being just by walking by her. She always seems to kind of.
Yeah, she's definitely a saint for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So, all right.
She's a solid parking lot hype crew. Whether we're going in or out of the game, we always get a whoop. It's great. She's like, "You want a drink? You want to come? You want some food?"
Yeah. Absolutely. We're the two things McGlincheys know how to do is have fun and play football. So we'll that's about all we got going for us, and we're going to keep it going.
Yeah, this is very true. And what was the golf event that we all went to last year? The U.S. Open.
Yeah, that was a good time.
That was a good time.
That was.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Took the little shuttle bus thing down and coolers on board and the whole thing. Yeah, so it was good. Well, let's see. And then after growing up outside of Philadelphia, then you eventually get recruited after being a big star in high school and choose Notre Dame. How did Notre Dame come about it?
Well, Notre Dame was kind of the school that I always rooted for growing up. My last name's McGlinchey. I'm an Irish Catholic kid from Philly, and there's only one team you root for, and
Right.
it just so happens they're on TV every Saturday. And
Yep.
as a young kid, I was just kind of drawn to it. And when they came calling right around my junior year of high school, it was kind of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. Kind of what you always dreamed about doing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I always wanted to play in South Bend, man. It was my the school I always wanted to go to, and once I visited, it was kind of like the icing on the cake.
Yeah. Well, that's a great accomplishment. And who was the head coach then, Mike, when you went?
Brian Kelly. So he's I think he's been the head coach since 2009. So he's going on like his 10th or 11th season. So he's been there for a while, and not quite as much as Ferenc, but he's a pretty tenured coach, and he was there my whole 5 years.
Yeah, because right before that, there was a little bit of kind of in and out there with the Notre Dame stuff. So he really set.
Yeah, they had Willingham, Weiss, and then they settled with once BK took over. The program's been in a great spot. So
Yep.
He's done a great job there, and is obviously deserving of how long he's had his job.
Yeah, no doubt, which is not an easy place to be either. So that's great. Well, all right, good. And then we got through the draft, but before we get into some football stuff, just you've got a fairly large family. So if I have it right, you are the oldest of 6 siblings. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I think your mom and dad both have some siblings and all that kind of stuff and last count, at least as I picked up, was 24 first cousins.
Yeah, it's something around that. Yeah, somewhere between 20 and 30. I don't know what the count's at now.
Right.
I haven't gone that deep into it in a while, but yeah, there's a lot of us. My mom's one of 6, my dad's one of 5, and there's a lot of grandkids on each side. It's been a lot of fun growing up there, and we all live close by, so we're all close. We all know each other, and it's between the McGlincheys and the Lockery family, which is my mom's maiden name. There's a lot of us out there.
Okay. Well, and it's a close family too. And like Emma said, even every time we come to the Niner games, we're walking through the parking lot there where the families park, and family's always there rooting, and there's always a big crowd and all that kind of stuff. So, Mike, I guess one of the things that, I do notice about you is one, and we'll get into kind of personalities and all that kind of stuff, but you and Joe were always very outgoing and personable and all that kind of stuff. But despite being a first rounder and obviously a very gifted athlete, you've also, though, dealt with some things in your life, through your family experiences. You've been very blessed as far as big and strong and fast and twitchy and all that. But I know that you've got a brother, Jim, believe was born and diagnosed with autism. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was when I think he was about 18 months or 2 years old. And I was probably about 10 or 11 at the time. And Jim, well, actually that doesn't make sense. I was probably like 8 or 9 at the time. And then, so my mom kind of sat us down and was like, hey, this is because she had noticed some things that were going on with him early because, my mom was a grade school teacher by trade, and she also had 4 children before Jim. So she kind of picked up on some cues that something might not be right. And so after they took him to a couple specialists and stuff like that, and the diagnosis came, and we, kind of had to attack it as a family, and it's been unbelievable. Jim's the best part of our family. He's a huge light of ours, and keeps us all on our toes and keeps us all entertained for sure. And he's definitely the reason. And he gives he gives me and my family perspective on everything and what life is truly about. And that, I am fortunate enough to play football for a living, and I like to think I do it pretty well. But at the end of the day, it's a game, and my family's the first and foremost, and that's always how it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, and you've always come across that way. So, and I do appreciate that. So kind of within the midst of all the, I guess, privilege, if you want to call it that, you've worked obviously very hard to make that happen, but at the same time, have an appreciation for it as well, and how fragile kind of life is. And so always appreciate that. And I believe then one of your other cousins also had a diagnosis that is kind of not the same time.
Yeah. So my cousin, Dan McCain, he's actually my older cousin, but more just as close as a brother to me as well. And he's my best friend in the world. And when he was younger, he was born with little microscopic holes in his lungs that really inhibited his development and his body's development and his organs development from a young age. So he's had some limitations since we were kids. And he's as strong and as much of a fighter as anybody I've ever met in my life. And he's certainly been a driving force for me my entire life, and especially my football career, because of the drive that he gives me and the passion that he has to be my biggest fan, and stuff like that. Cause he loves football. It's the only thing that gets him out of bed, man. And he follows the Niners as hard as anybody out there.
Right. Well, all really good stuff. And I know, and we kind of talked before we got on just about kind of the purpose. We're trying to shadow a little bit of a light on people who need a little special. And you've certainly been introduced to that, as I think as most of us have in that. So we do appreciate that. Let's see.
Yeah, thanks.
So appreciate.
Hey, Dad, your mic's funky.
What's that?
There you go. It was like super muted and muffled.
Muted and muffled.
That's just me.
No,
Muted and muffled.
She's just like
It's
I
almost
have
like
to.
you got to touch your mouth to it, like we
There you go, Mike.
practice.
So that all right. All
Okay,
right.
go.
Anyway,
Okay.
so
All right. Go ahead.
we got two fabulous 49ers on. So you, Mike, after spending some time with you and then obviously lots of time with Jorge, you both are known as having unique personalities. And I have to say that's pretty accurate. So first, I want to know, what was it like when you guys first met, when you first came into each other's lives?
So when I first met George, I think it was probably probably OTAs my rookie year, because you had been here for a year now.
Yeah.
And George was George and Joe were my first really two friends on the team, and my teammates and stuff. And it was a little easier connecting with George at times, because we were in similar. He's only a year older than me, rather than 11 like Joe
20,
was.
30 maybe.
Yeah. So so George and I kind of hit it off right away. And, I remember the first couple of weeks of OTAs and trying to get to know everybody. George was always including me when we went out to dinner, went out on if we were able to catch a weekend where we could go out and have a couple of drinks at bars and stuff like that. And
A couple.
Yeah, just a couple, responsibly.
Right.
And, so and it's kind of been, as the more that we've gotten to know each other, the closer that we've gotten, and it's, become one of my great friends over these last couple of years here in the Bay Area.
And we put some damn good triples on tape too. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, we do work together well in between the lines as well.
Yeah.
That's
just
probably most important.
I was just rolling through some triples in my mind. I've seen a few of those, so that's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those well.
Flying off the ball. So.
Nobody better.
No, I would agree with Mike though. I think, we definitely enjoyed our relationship from the beginning. We do like to have a good time, and we like being around our friends, and, I think, our friends mean a lot to us. So we've always done a good job at that. And Mike's the best, because he always has, people over after games and stuff. He includes everybody, no matter who you are. And it's pretty special. Like, we kind of bring like the family mentality to the Niners, and, we have that family atmosphere, and I think everybody feels pretty included.
No doubt.
Well, and I don't know, I've had a little, just because I've got a little football coaching in my past, so I've been out at the Niners a little bit and sat in the old line room with you guys. But one thing I do appreciate about both of you is, how much fun and joy you bring to even to practice, you know what I mean? Which I think is a real gift. And appreciating, again, the privilege it is to be an NFL player, but at the same time, it can be unbelievable grind, because between the mental and the physical and all that stuff. So, but Mike, I got to say, I've never seen you on the practice field without, that little skip in your step, and kind of there's an appreciation still for the opportunity to be there.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's something for our whole, a lot of guys on our team have it, especially the ones that have kind of risen to the top as leaders. And like you said, football is really, it's really only fun about 16 times a year. And the other, Monday through Saturday isn't really that great of a time. And you have to have that kind of energy and that kind of passion about being better at what you want, or trying to get better at what you do. And I think nobody models that more than George. And, it's just the adoption of that mindset has kind of hit everybody on our team. And our organization and our building is a fun place to be, and it's a fun place to go to work. And I think that's why we've had the success that we've had, is because of the people and the not just the fun, but the balance between fun and the details and the work, and how hard it truly is to be great at what we do. And I think, our head coach embodies that, our general manager embodies that. And I think every player on our team is starting to embody that too.
Yeah. Have fun. And when you have fun, you win, and when you're winning, you have more fun.
Winning always makes it more fun.
Yeah.
That's for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, so,
Very
yeah.
much so, yes.
That's good. Speaking of having more fun, so I want to drop back to the golf event that we went to last year because I've always known Mike McGlinchey as loving the White Claws, but now that Bud Light Seltzer is in our lives, Mr. George Kittle sponsored, how do we feel about Bud Light Seltzer versus White Claw, Mike?
I love Bud Light Seltzer too, and on top of the fact that it definitely is easier because it comes in a 24 pack, so you can treat it more like a traditional case of beer instead of carrying those like 5 or 6 trying to hold 5 or 6 12 packs. You can only go with 2 or 3 24 packs, and it makes life a lot logistically easier.
That's a classic O-line.
Wow.
That's an O-line response right there.
That is an O-line response.
You got to think massive. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. When you have as many people that like to drink those things as we do, then you gotta be prepared.
Got to be prepared.
That's very
Absolutely.
true. I will say the Bud Light Seltzer also has like the jumbo can, which is like 24 ounces.
Yeah, the old pounder.
Yeah.
You got
They're
to
so
love
big.
those.
Those are nice on a nice warm afternoon.
Yeah.
You got to know what
no
you're doing
doubt.
with those.
Yeah, so solid. Yeah, so that kind of gets it out of the because the small can is really designed for the.
There's nothing. I don't know
muscle.
if there's anything better on a beach than that. Like,
No.
like a nice ice cold Bud Light Seltzer. Like, what's better than that?
What's your favorite flavor?
I'm probably more of a strawberry guy or mango. Both are very good.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So
Wild
this is another
card, Mike
reason why Mike
McGlinchey.
is such a great
Their
friend.
lemon lime. I will say their lemon lime is better than all the other brands of lemon lime because it just tastes a little bit more,
Yeah.
better, I guess.
It does 100%.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
Well, let's see. We'll kind of wrap up the mic focus, but I just the other piece that I've known you for is I've heard you sing multiple times at various settings, and so you and Joe were just always quick into that. So have you always been a singer? Do you have a off kind of the field career, beckoning, or where's that going?
Yeah, so I've always enjoyed it. I've never done it like for real. Like I mean, I guess I did like a couple school choirs or something back in the day, but no, my dad was just always super into music, and every time we were in the car, a song would come on and he would sing along, and that's just kind of how I adopted that. I guess that quality about myself, and I've always really enjoyed music. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like all kinds of music, and I am pretty good at, I just remember words well, and that's why I think people get on me about it. But no, I think it would be maybe after football, I could do like a wedding singer or something like that.
Yes.
I'd pay a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to come to Italy.
I'd have to recruit bandmates though. So I'd have to figure out because I can't play any instruments.
I have a tambourine.
And okay, well that works.
Yeah.
We got a lead singer and a tambourine, and that's about it. So we got to work on the rest of our group.
There's a couple sounds missing, but I think we got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask one more question. So, since you guys have been in each other's lives for a few years now,
Yes.
can either of you share a story about the other while your time at the Niners?
What kind of a story are we talking?
Well,
Like
as close to the edge as you can get and
PG-13,
still
not
put
quite
on a
R,
podcast.
but like, yeah.
So we're talking more outside of football kind of thing.
Well, sure. Well, it might be in.
I don't know. It could be be in.
I'll tell a football story.
Okay.
Okay. Let me hear George's, and I'll go. Let me hear George's, and then I'll go off.
All right.
Mine's more of just a fun fact, Mike. I was going to tell him if you're watching the game or if you're ever at the game in the future, when they let fans back in, basically before every single play, me and Mike have a handshake that we do. And it just kind of reminds us that one, we're in it together, and two, hey, I know still playing a game, we're having fun, but it's just kind of our switch every play. So we put your hands together, fist bump, headbutt, just kind of gets you locked in. So then we listen to the play call, go up the line of scrimmage and go out and headhunt. So that's one thing I've really enjoyed with Mike, and me and him kind of started that. Now it's actually insane because the entire huddle kind of has handshakes at the start of drives and stuff. Like when Juice comes in, he has a handshake. When Trent Taylor comes in, he has a handshake with Mike. He has a handshake with me. Juice has a handshake with me, handshake with Mike. Jordan Reed has a handshake with Mike. He has a handshake with me. So it's really fun. And it's just a small interactive thing you see in our huddle that just kind of shows that, we're all boys and we're all going through it together.
Yeah. We call that activation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Activating the mental mindset you need in order to be successful and play at the highest level. So that's pretty cool. Mike, do you have other activations that you like to use for getting zoned in?
No, I do it. I do it to. It started with George and my right guard. I always because those are the two guys that are really my partners out on the field, and that's who I work with the most. Right. And so it's the two. I always did it to those two guys because I think George and I've been doing that since I was a rookie here, and so I always did it with my partner to try and like remind us that we're here to get, like George said, we're here together. We're going to do this together. We're on the same page, and we're going to fight our ass off, and that's all you can do. Another story. All my favorite George stories are really outside of football, when we've been able to cut it up and going out and like hanging out at each other's houses, and just the random conversations that we get in. And especially if you throw Garrett Selleck into the mix and the times that all the three of us have hung out together. Right. Is definitely worth a couple stories that are not recorded on air.
Yeah.
Well,
no doubt.
We'll keep those off.
Mike, you're 100% right on that, man.
I just talked to I talked to Garrett this week.
Shout out to G Cells. We missed him.
Yeah.
Selleck time, baby.
Yeah, he's good stuff. So, okay, well, thank you very much for kind of sharing that. So we'll jump into
the most anticipated
anticipated
podcast, fashion. All right, so we recently added this fashion piece into our podcast and have had actually a really great response from y'all. So thank you very much for listening and for watching. So Mike, as our guest, would you like to kick off some fashion for us?
Sure, I would love to. I'm not first and foremost, I am not even close to a fashionista, nor do I have swagger like anybody else on our team. I'm very, very conservative when it comes to my fashion. But my football fashion is really just kind of like Kyle always says, it's like we're going on a business trip. So I kind of just model it off of what I would think is acceptable at a golf course. So I have all of my golf shirts and collared shirts right here. I have a couple. I've actually upgraded a little bit of my shoe game, a little bit, not quite much, definitely not like George. But I have
are we talking Nikes or are we talking golf shoes?
I have a couple Air Force.
Oh, hey, there you go, Mike.
Okay, Mike, what size of shoe do you wear?
Hey, the Concords.
Yeah, I'm a 16 or a 17 depending on the shoe. Okay. And then I got I have my little like business casual sneaker.
Yeah, those are swaggy.
Those are my favorite. And then
very nice.
Yeah, and then just whatever golf pants or jeans I'll put on. And then I have a couple suits that I pull out for a couple big games. Like maybe I'll do it for Sunday night against the Birds. We'll see.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll have to keep that one in closed doors though, because if I'm going to wear it this weekend, I need to, I need fresh.
Well, it's got to be a surprise. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We want people anticipating that. Yeah.
Mike, you keep talking about golf. Are you a big time golfer?
I do enjoy the occasional or everyday round of golf. So.
I love that. All right. Hey, my turn.
Yeah. What are we doing, George?
I'm shooting you guys Jordan 1s. These are the Carmines. Big fan of these. I like the red and the white. I think it kind of goes with everything. The clear bottoms. I think those are really cool. Just got these a little bit ago. So I'm a huge fan of them. They look great together too. Like those are nice.
Like, a strong shoe.
Yeah. It is a strong shoe. It's got a strong message of I like to look good. So that's why I like those.
Is that what it says? All right, like that.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna keep going through the Jordans and all my Nike shoes, and my closet's right next to me, and I'll just keep whipping shoes out. The more episodes we do.
Now, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. What was your sideline shoe? Because we only got pictures from the shoulders up. What were you wearing?
My sideline shoe. I was wearing the Gardens that I showed you guys last week.
Oh, you wore those? Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Well, so I packed my other J's, and that's all I had. So all my other shoes were under the plane. And Jimmy's wearing his Jordans, like his New York Knicks edition, and I was like, I'm not gonna get out-shoed by Jimmy.
No, not by Jimmy.
No.
So I wore the Gardens in the Meadowland. So I felt pretty cool about that.
Yeah,
that is sick.
All right, and the ones you just showed us will not necessarily be the shoe for this Sunday, or will they?
I wore these today.
Yeah.
No, the shoe for Sunday.
Are you holding that out?
Oh, come on.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Once Claire decides what I'm wearing, I'll pick the shoes out.
Shoe fits everything else.
You could wear your Mission Blue t-shirt. Raise awareness. Ocean. I know you have blue T-shirt or blue shoes.
Yeah.
I do
Okay.
have plenty of blue shoes.
All right. So football fashion. Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and talk some football then. So, all right. Anyway, so last game, Niners beat the Giants out in the old, I guess what we used to call the Meadowlands. Now it's whatever it is.
MetLife.
Yep. 36-9. Offense had an amazing day, 420 yards. Nicky Mullins just went off. Holy cow. That was amazing, 343 yards. And McKinnon and Wilson each had a TD. So offense played great. And so Mike will come back to that. Defense, I'm not a defensive guy, but we appreciate all that they did. The boys seemed to play really well, and I guess 9 points kind of says it all as far as that goes. So how's the locker room?
Great turnovers, too.
Yeah. Turnovers are great and just played good team defense and all that kind of stuff. So, Mike, any reflections about the game and just, how's the locker room vibe right now? I mean, I know you guys are dealing with some injuries, but yet now you got a little 2-game thing going and coming home for 3 games.
Yeah, I think offensively, especially, we're super excited. We were excited for guys like Nick and Jet and Jeff to get opportunities while some of our other guys are down and resting and getting back healthy. And Ross Dwelly, who, obviously is a close friend of George and I's, had a huge game and was so proud of him and everything that he does because he's just grinded for 3 years to get where he's at. And he's such a good football player, and it's so fun to watch. But at the same time, we are excited to get our horses back, and we get, we'll get George back. We'll get hopefully Raheem back pretty soon. Jimmy will come back pretty soon. And, and we're getting Deebo Samuel, who's one of the most versatile players in our offense back. And so I think our offense is going to start clicking on all cylinders here pretty soon. And, George and I were actually joking last night on the way home. It's like every week we wind up playing a defense that we've never seen before because everybody is kind of frightened and panicked about what we do on the ground and our ability to run the football. So they kind of change what they're doing. So we rarely, at least the first 3 weeks, we haven't seen front. The defense has kind of altered their front because of what we do on offense, which is kind of a huge form of respect in my opinion, but it's kind of a pain in the ass at the same time too.
You're not wrong there. We get a lot of fronts that I was like, oh, these didn't exist all week during practice or any of game tape. But hey, we're just going to know what our rules are and we're going to triple to the mic and whoever that may be, we'll figure it the fuck out. Right. Excuse my language.
Yep. Whoops. And Juice can figure it out after us.
Yeah.
That's what's nice. When you got a guy like Juice in the backfield that if we go to the wrong guy, he'll fix it and make us right.
Yeah.
Well, which doesn't happen often, but it's really nice to have a Harvard guy back there.
Well, just in football world. So for fans listening, I mean, I think people get in their heads that, they run a 4-3 or whatever. And so you're going to get, 5 technique and whatever, or 3 and blah, blah, blah. And, if I'm hearing correctly, so you guys watch tape, you see it, you kind of know what they're going to do, their stats and all that kind of stuff on percentages. And yet when you guys go out there, you see a whole bunch of looks that they haven't shown on tape before, and they're doing it just primarily to screw you guys up.
Yeah, we get a lot of 55 fronts.
Yeah.
That's what we've been getting a lot, where they cover the tight end, the tackle, and the guard. So they're trying to eliminate all of our double teams. Right. But we got a really good offensive line and tight ends that know how to run blocks. So we still make it work.
Yep.
Damn right.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So, and I think, Mike, that's really true, the former respected that way, because they know if they line up in a way that you've already seen and you practiced all week, that's going to be a long day.
Yeah, not only just us, but if they give Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, and Mike LaFleur the things that they've prepared for all week, they're just going to manipulate the defense exactly how they want to, and that's why we've beaten teams as bad as we've beaten them over the last 2 years, is because of those 3 guys setting us all, and the people that we've brought in here to execute their philosophies has been pretty impressive.
Yeah,
very much so.
So, well, that's pretty good stuff.
Can we reiterate that stat that you told us before about?
Yeah, I said that to Mike. So when I was researching this one actually for George's letter, I was just reading some, kind of trivia stuff. But I believe over the last 15 years, there's been 3 teams that have done the Jets, Giants, back-to-back road trip kind of thing that you guys just did. And all 3 teams made the playoffs, and 2 of the teams made the Super Bowl. So it's a fairly difficult feat. Not that that's only 3 teams have done it, as in scheduled, but I mean actually won both games. So the teams that have won both games have gone on to have pretty big years. So anyway,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a good omen.
Yeah, thought that was pretty good. I mean, it's not easy to do. I mean, it's a long way out, especially when you're a California team and you're in a different place, environment, and then you're going back out there back to back and now in the same stadium. So anyway, we'll just ride that mojo and keep that train rolling. So that's good stuff.
How's it feel to be back on Pacific time?
I mean, it feels like 8 p.m. to me.
This morning. It was so tough this morning. I woke up at like 4:30 or 5,
Right.
like so wide awake. I couldn't sleep.
That was me as well.
Yeah.
That was brutal. But I'm glad we're back here because I feel like I just got a free 3 hours, and I'm going to go to bed pretty early tonight. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll be in bed by 9 o'clock. That's
Right.
awesome.
I can't wait.
Sleep's a wonderful
Mike,
thing.
are you a napper? We've talked about this before on the podcast. George and I are terrible nappers.
I'm not much of a napper because if I go down for a nap, I normally can't get back into the groove. So I just kind of fight through it with coffee and stuff like that. But no, I'm a very good morning person, but very poor at nighttime. Like once I hit a certain point, like 8:30 or something on my couch, I'll be asleep at the drop of a hat. So I definitely exhaust all the gas I have in my tank.
Just go full tilt every day.
It's like the big Hummer just grinding up that hill, and then when it's out of gas,
the diesel engine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay, let's see then. And then how's Coach Shanahan, and any messages there you can share with us about his direction or sense of things?
I think he's super excited. I mean, the mindset that he had last week of just wanting us to go out and dominate and do exactly what we did yesterday was pretty cool. And he's excited knowing that how deep our team is and the team that he's built from the ground up for over 3 years. And, we were playing with virtually 10 to 11 guys yesterday that weren't slated to be starters on our football team. And we won by 30 or so points. And that's hard to do in this league. It's very rare. And I think there's only, positive things to take from that, and got to clean up. And the cool thing is that even with all that, we still can get a ton better with what we've put on tape so far. So that's, it's definitely an exciting time to be a Niner and an exciting time to play for Kyle.
Yeah. Well, very good. So season's all ahead and 13 exciting weeks and all that. George, anything you want to add on any of that, or?
No, I think you nailed it on the head. Only thing I know, like, it was fun Saturday night. He was just say, hey, I'm so confident in this game. I know we're going to go out there, and you guys, if you just play the way that you guys have been playing, you're going to go out there and dominate them. And so it's just fun to, hear that from your coach and you believe it. And then the guys go out there and they do exactly what, he said they're going to do. It's pretty awesome.
Well, that is exciting. So, let's take a look ahead then. So this Sunday you're playing the Eagles, come in no wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie after an exciting game with the Bengals, also 0-2-1 now, 23-23. So I guess we won't worry about their offense, but I guess the one stat that jumped out at me, I don't know if you guys have looked at much. Typically you guys don't, I think, by this time on the team, but they had 8 sacks against the Bengals. So I thought that
18 QB hits.
Yeah, so it was quite up there a little bit. So anyway, what do you guys know about them, and what are you thinking, and where are we going?
Well, all I know is that I need to win this game this week so that I can continue to go home and have bragging rights on people. So that's all I really know thus far. Mondays are normally I normally review the game from the week before at least one or two more times just to get it out of my system and get every note that I need to from what we did on Sunday. So I normally start my opponent prep on Tuesday or Wednesday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Let's see the Birds. Defensive wise, I mean, Fletcher Cox is an animal.
Yeah, he's an absolute animal. So that's definitely you're definitely going to have a plan for him for sure.
I'm really glad. That's why I'm happy I don't play center or guard. You don't have to deal with it.
No doubt.
If they want any of those nice, slams where I come down and slam the E tackle, I'm going to call Dwellian because that's just not happening.
He's an A-gap player primarily, right?
He's a monster.
Yeah, 3 and a 1 technique.
3 and a 1, yeah. Okay.
I think Graham on the edge. I think he's a monster as well. I played him my rookie year, and he's just strong, fast, and he knows how to get under your pads. So I think that he'll be they have a really good D line, and I think we're just gonna, we have to keep playing the way that we are playing, establish the run, and give our quarterback some time to sling it a little bit. And I think we've done a great job of that so far. And it'll be nice. Like Mike said, we got some of our horses back. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. Well, and the topic that everyone really cares about, Mike, is the offensive line. So how's JB doing, and how the boys up front?
Everybody's good.
Yeah.
We're excited. Fortunately for us, we were one of the groups in the position groups, knock on some wood here, but we were the ones relatively unaffected by the injuries and stuff. So we've been able to start building some chemistry and some cohesion over the last couple of weeks, and without having, OTAs and training camp and a full preseason and stuff like that to get ready to go. So it's been a building process and getting on the same page and working together. I think we're building more and more of that each week. And I think everybody's just going to continue to get better, which is cool.
That's good. All right. Yeah, it sure looked good. I know one clip that was floating around was, I think, Ben out on that screen and taking out that linebacker just kind of through.
Yeah, he's great down in the open field.
Yeah.
He's good in space, I'll tell you that.
Good in space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he put a little lick on that dude, no doubt. So
no doubt.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that is.
Well, 3 technique, 1 technique. All the things.
Yeah.
I guess my tie to the Eagles is that I went to college. I went to OU with Lane Johnson. And so I have,
there you go.
Yeah, homie on the team, good old Lane. And you actually coached Lane.
I did, yeah. He was in my position group when I was there. So I had OTs and tight ends at that time. And so.
There you go.
And actually, now I don't know if he'll tell that story, but he was buried in the defensive line. And it was a spring. It took me all 3 weeks of spring ball to talk him into playing offensive line. He thought it was a loser position. But after
a lot of us do.
Yeah, and
a lot of us do when we first start.
It's really, and Mike, you might appreciate this. So my third team tackle, like we're, all the starters are done and Lane's in there and he's just getting blocked up at DE, but my guy's not, he's young. So I finally talked to him about it anyway. And so he was keeping his weight down on purpose because they said if he got too big, they were going to move him to a 3 technique. And he thought that would be doomsday. So he finally flipped over, he had a week in the offensive line in the spring and then transferred over through summer workouts. And then by about 2nd or 3rd week, he was starting a right tackle. So, and then
there you go. That's pretty cool.
Kind of worked out for him. So, yeah. So
not a bit. He's had a pretty solid career thus far.
Yep. So just back off of a little ankle surgery and he's playing pretty good. So, well, okay. Anything about the Eagles? I think we kind of hit on that. So we'll turn.
We're good.
All right. So
talking to the mic, Dad.
Thank you, George.
I appreciate that reminder.
I will talk about the next piece.
Why don't you do that, Em?
A huge part of Hidden Pearls podcast is about service and giving back. And so this week, our charity focus, the interview that is going to be playing right after y'all, is Martha's Kitchen. And so Martha's Kitchen is a food bank. It's a soup kitchen. They do pre-made meals, but they also are the organization that the 49ers have partnered with on Thanksgiving. And so we were there last Thanksgiving, all of us wearing turkey hats and red aprons.
Yes, we were.
Fabulous. How many years have y'all done that?
I think 2. I've only been here for 2, so 2.
Yeah. I think in my rookie year we did it somewhere else, but I think that's 2 years we've done it there. And I know I love it. I like how they give us turkey hats. You get to interact with people. It's really funny.
And the people are so appreciative of it too, which is really cool.
It's always been really fun to do those. And it's fun for us too, because we get to go as we do community events really well. Like we show up and we have a lot of guys that do it all. But the Thanksgiving one's usually the biggest. We get like 20 plus guys go and show up, and it's just fun because it's just another way for us to hang out outside of the facility and give back and do stuff together. So that's been a very fun thing for us.
Yeah, y'all do a really good job of tying in with the community, the whole Niners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something the York family takes a lot of pride in, and that it kind of trickles down to everybody.
Yep,
that it does.
No, you guys do a really good job. So, well, Mike, just growing up outside of Philly and being a strong family of faith, at least it seems that way, and then off to Notre Dame, what kind of role of kind of service or giving back? Did you have experiences growing up? And then I'm just guessing at Notre Dame, you guys probably did some stuff as well.
Yeah, we always did the same kind of stuff. At Notre Dame, we did a lot of the same kind of stuff that we do at the Niners. We had huge team events of shop with a player. Coach Kelly's wife was a breast cancer survivor, I think multiple-time breast cancer survivor. So we always did the football 101 every summer was like a ladies football camp that all the proceeds would go to breast cancer awareness and research. We did like shop with a player for Christmas time. Like we would, kids from the local area that, didn't necessarily have a lot going for them for Christmas time. We would take under our wing and be able to take them around and shop for them a little bit. And then I was always really connected because of Jim and the special needs kids in his class. I was super connected to that and Special Olympics and all that kind of stuff growing up. So most of my individual charitable work always kind of winds up, feeding where my heart is with my brother and the kids like him. And we do that Camp with the Stars. I think Coach Mariucci puts on that here every year, and all the Special Olympics stuff that you can possibly do is my favorite stuff to do. Yes,
and we're hoping to get Camp with the Stars as one of our charities.
Yeah, we're just hoping we can do something. We've missed so many opportunities because of the crazy times that we're in. So you almost just wish you could help anybody that needs it at this point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. Then how about, and you want to touch on that? So just a little bit more on Martha's Kitchen, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that, and then we'll let you guys go.
Yeah. So the mission of Martha's Kitchen, their slogan is feeding the hungry with dignity. They do this in two ways. First, by providing a traditional soup kitchen to the homeless and hungry, serving around 100,000 meals each month in 8 different counties. They also provide a grocery service to people facing food insecurity, distributing over 250,000 pounds of groceries each month. Martha's Kitchen is now the largest food bank in San Benito County, serving approximately 1,500 families with food each week. So pretty big impact.
That's
massive.
Huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, so really growing. And we'll be talking in just a few minutes with their executive director, who's going to talk a little bit about the impact of COVID and all those kind of things. So they're going to be joining us. So any big takeaways about have you guys been out there other than that, those Thanksgivings? Do you guys do anything more regular with them, or is it kind of around that holiday?
I think Thanksgiving's all that we. I think that's all
the big one.
Yeah,
yes.
A big one. So okay, so their focus primarily with the soup kitchen is working with people who are homeless, and so that's kind of their targeted piece, and that's how they came out of that. So, all right. Well, then, just kind of in that experience, I don't know, and because we were there actually the last time George was, and so got to meet a few of those people. Don't know if he came across with any lessons just interacting with anybody, or kind of what got him to that situation, or even if you have that kind of time to make those kind of connections.
Yeah, there was a few conversations that you have of just giving people a little hope, giving people a little spirit, and helping them through a tough time that they're in life. But it's actually pretty wild. That event is you have to be moving fast in that one. There's a lot of things going on, so it's really hard to talk to people and sit down and have a lot of conversations. But yeah, the few that you do get, how it, like I said earlier, it just kind of gives you that perspective and a thankfulness for where what you have and where you come from, and the support systems that you have, because there are people out there that don't have that. And, it's a great feeling to be able to, make them feel like they have that at least for a little while.
Yeah.
100%. I also think that towards the end, when everyone's kind of gone in through the line and everything, and you have a chance to sit down at a table and just talk to people, that's actually, it's been really fun for me. And, I can't tell you much about the conversations I did have, but I enjoyed them. You just learn a little bit about the people. I sat at a table one time with 3 Raiders fans that got torn apart for being a 49er. I was like, this is awesome. Bring it. I can't wait. They're like, yeah. Like, I don't even why are you guys here? Like, we're Raiders fans. I was like, sick. Yeah, I'm having a great time too, man. Go Niners.
Right.
But
I remember that.
I've had fun both years that I've done, and I hope that we can continue doing something with them in the future, because it is a fun event. And the fact that we get so many players to participate too is just, it's fun being a Niner when we go to those things.
Well, no doubt. And I know they're extremely grateful. So when we have been talking with them in preparation for this podcast, they've been very grateful to the Niners and all you guys for coming out. So, well, we appreciate that.
Actually, one more thing. So yesterday we did after this, we have a phone call, our interview with Bill. And he is with Martha's Kitchen. But the thing that he said yesterday that really stuck out to me is that the way that you can serve in this world is with your time, your treasures, and your talent. Right. And so with your time, obviously y'all gave back when you were there during Thanksgiving and any other time you volunteer there. With your treasures, so with financial resources. So Georgie, thank you for making a donation. And then also with your talent. And so what you guys are doing, even now being on this podcast and sharing it and promoting it, that's a really great way to give back. And just, I think it's like people underestimate the power. I don't think we do anymore, but like the power of social media and putting something out there. And so using this and using your platform and using, not your strengths in different ways and social ways is really, really powerful. So thank you to both of you for doing that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yep. Well, Mike, again, special thanks really appreciate it.
Love the
A lot of
O-line.
travel and
Love
everything.
it.
Yeah.
We're big O-line fans, so that's where we watch the game.
Absolutely. And like I said, what better way to spend an afternoon than with the Kittles, you know? It's a great time.
Well, you're very, very kind, so thank you so much. So, Georgie, good to see you again. We'll talk to you later.
Yes.
Mike, stay
Yes, you
safe, and we'll be rooting you guys on, and hopefully we'll nod at you after the game. I don't know how close to let us, but we're hoping to be out there, so we'll get a chance to see you. So,
All right.
I'll have like a flashlight
Sounds
from the
good.
apartment.
Yeah,
clicking
there
it
you
on
go.
the-
Thanks, guys.
All right, so go Niners. All right, thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Thank you.
Take 10.
Right. Niners are back home this weekend after a very successful road trip out east, defeating both the Jets and the Giants in back-to-back weekends. With the team's return to Levi's Stadium for a 3-game homestand, we also return back to the Bay Area with our charity focus. This week, we are thrilled to name as our charity focus for the week, Martha's Kitchen, whose mission is feeding the hungry with dignity. Martha's Kitchen was founded in 1981 by a group of neighbors serving sandwiches to the downtown San Jose homeless community. Over the years, Martha's Kitchen has grown to the point where now they serve 100,000 meals each month to their unhoused neighbors in 8 counties in the Silicon Valley region. They also serve 250,000 pounds of groceries each month to their neighbors in these same communities, people who have housing but struggle with food insecurity. Martha's Kitchen is now the largest food bank in the San Benito County, serving approximately 1,500 families with food each week. Martha's Kitchen believes food is a basic human right, not a luxury. It is estimated that 1 in 4 Bay Area residents will experience food insecurity at one time or another in their lives. Martha's Kitchen strives to be the safety net to ensure that when individuals or families in our communities face hunger, these neighbors of ours do not go hungry. Welcome, Bill. Let's introduce him.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Bill Lee, Executive Director, and I'll just do a quick bio so people kind of know a little bit about you because we are called Hidden Pearls, and Bill, along with his staff and Martha's Kitchen, are part of those Hidden Pearls, and we're so glad to have you here tonight. So Bill was born and raised in Southern California. He's a product of Jesuit education, having graduated from Loyola High School in Los Angeles. I've been there, just for the record. And then completing his undergraduate and MBA at Santa Clara University, where he's a member of the Bronco football team. What position?
I was a punter.
Punter.
There we go.
All right, nice. He founded a very successful national manufacturing distribution company in the window shutter industry. And how many years were you in that? That was a while, wasn't it?
28.
28 years there, got out of that. And then having sold the company, became a part of Martha's Kitchen. And I believe now going into your 2nd year, is that right?
That's correct.
Yep. And you were working with the Martha's Kitchen team as they live out their mission in feeding the hungry with dignity. Resides in Hollister with his wife and 2 sons, and in his free time, he enjoys bicycling. I'm an avid biker.
Yes.
Yep. And likes to coach youth basketball. So, Bill, appreciate you very, very much being here with us. And again, consider one of our real privileges is to have a chance to introduce people like yourself who work with nonprofits. And really, in today's world, are a lot of times the kind of the last stop safety net for people living on the edge. So we really appreciate you being here with us. So, Bill, as we get started, before we talk a lot more about Martha's, could you just tell us a little bit about, after selling the business, what drew you to working with a nonprofit like Martha's Kitchen and doing this kind of work?
I always wanted a chance to give back. I always wanted an opportunity to do something for others. And once I sold the business, I was at a perfect turning point. The executive director before me was retiring. The opportunity and the need was there at Martha's. So I stepped up and took the role, and I've been really loving what I've been doing. I mean, it's sad that we're needed. I wish we weren't needed, but there's a lot of satisfaction that comes with helping other people too.
Yeah. Had you been involved with Martha's Kitchen before you took this position?
I had not.
Okay. So it was kind of in that job search. All right. Very good. Well, then, as executive director, can you tell us a little bit, just before we start talking about Martha's again, just kind of what do you do on a day-to-day basis as the hotshot, big-timer executive director of this nonprofit? What do you do?
Well, the executive director is really responsible for all aspects of an organization. Its operations, its fundraising, its administrative, every aspect A to Z. So, when you're the final guy, anything anybody misses, you pick up and you handle. And being a smaller organization with only a dozen paid staff members. I do everything from get the financial audit done to deliver food.
Right. So very, very hands-on in that capacity.
Just because you have your hands in all parts of the business, what are some of the highlights that you've had?
Expanding program services is really, I think, the highlight. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? To serve and feed as many people as possible. We've been growing for some time, but obviously COVID put us into warp speed on growth. But just knowing, it's sad that there's people out there that are on the edges, but knowing that we get a chance to make a difference for as many of those as possible is probably the most exciting thing that comes with getting up and going to work every day.
So in your work, because you're at the soup kitchen or you're there with the grocery deliveries and those kind of things, you actually get to know some of the people and kind of see the benefit and the assistance that Martha's Kitchen is providing to people.
I do. I mean, with the homeless population that we serve, for example, with the hot meals, after a while you get to know the clients and, people who have been in tragic car accidents that have put them on the margin and on the edge where they can't work. People that have just had all kinds of different tragedies befall their lives. So often there's a stigma that, homeless people are mental health cases. And there are some of those, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of other people that are on the margins. And a lot of times it's physical disability or, sadly bad luck. And you'd be surprised, there are a number of folks on the street who have college degrees. That's probably the thing that's most amazing and most mind-boggling. But that's the valley that we live in. There's a lot of haves and there's a lot of have-nots, and somebody's got to step up and make sure those have-nots don't go hungry. Absolutely. That's what we do.
Okay. Well, so at least as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, so there's kind of two primary thrusts of the programming at Martha's Kitchen. One is the actual soup kitchen where people come in, and then the other one is kind of I think what you guys describe as grocery assistance. And can you just tell us a little bit about those programs and what you guys do as far as trying to help in those communities?
Yeah, Martha's Kitchen was founded with the mission to try to feed unhoused people, homeless, people experiencing homelessness. And we still do that, and we do it in a big way to the tune of 100,000 hot meals every month. But along the way, along our journey, we recognize that there's a lot of people that are just one step away from losing their housing. And so there are people who have to pick with what little money they have. They may even have a job. They may have a check. Do they put gas in the car so they can keep going to work? Do they pay the rent? Or do they buy groceries? And that's a horrible decision to go, I can't afford all three, and I've got to make some decisions. So we try to step into those folks and get them some groceries so that they don't suffer from malnourishment. They can eat and, use their money towards the rent and the gas to keep their job.
Right. No. And so you mentioned COVID a little bit. So can you talk to us a little bit about, because at least what we're hearing, so this is only week 4 for us, but one of the things that all the other folks that we've talked to, COVID really kind of almost for everybody doubled kind of the population that they were working with. And the other kind of notable fact was a lot of the people that came in were kind of first-time users of services of this nature. But how did COVID hit Martha's Kitchen, and how have you guys responded?
Well, it blew up the demand for services at our place, just like it did a lot of others, as you referenced. The hot meal program 7 months ago, before COVID hit, we were doing about 50,000 hot meals a month. And that, within a matter of just a few months, mushroomed to 100,000 hot meals a month. And that was compounded by a number of situations. Probably the most notable was all the jail releases. There were people released from jail that weren't expecting to get out, didn't have plans, didn't have family to take them in, or they moved in with a girlfriend, got in a fight, and ended up back out on the street. There were groups that handed out tents in front of some of the jails here in Santa Clara County to people getting out just so they would have some shelter over their head. It was a very unexpected thing. Obviously, the whole pandemic was unexpected. So that blew up that side of the operation. The grocery side is a whole nother story. We were only doing 10 or 15,000 pounds of groceries a month before the pandemic, and we're doing 250,000 pounds of groceries a month now. That's where a lot of change has occurred. And even in the last few months, we've seen a lot of change. as the government assistance has wound down, it's left more people struggling to feed their families. What we try to do with the groceries, we can actually get more people fed per dollar with groceries. So if they have housing, they have a kitchen, you're better off giving them groceries than hot meals because they're doing the cooking, not you, and so forth. There's also, we try to keep dignity in the equation. House people, if you give them groceries, mom or dad can come get a box of groceries, take it home, put it in the fridge, put the groceries away, and nobody ever knows where they came from. There's a lot of stigma, especially for children. If the other kids sadly will ridicule children. Oh, your mom, dad had to go down and get assistance, that sort of thing. So we try to make it easy so they can come and get food and just slip in. The same thing when we do the hot meals for the homeless population. We try to serve really good quality meals, and we do so in as dignified a manner as humanly possible. There's a stigma that goes with coming to get a meal at a soup kitchen. It's not an easy free meal for people. It comes with a heavy stigma, and they don't come in. They come in only because they truly are needy.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Well, I think you kind of talked about the numbers. I guess you went over one really quick there for me, just the grocery poundage. I thought you said about in a month you guys were doing 10 to 15,000 pounds. And after COVID, 2 months into COVID, you're doing 250,000 pounds. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty significant.
That's a huge explosion.
Holy cow.
But we're literally putting our fingers in the dike, and where we see food insecurity, we've stepped up and taken care of people. And we were finding that house people were coming for cooked meals because they were struggling to eat at all, and realized we need to get groceries to those people. And they're being missed by other grocery operations, food banks, etc. The lines are mind-bogglingly long.
Right.
Even south of San Jose, in the little town of Hollister and San Juan Bautista, where we serve a lot of our groceries, we see food lines 2 miles long, cars backed up every Tuesday. And, for an entire county of 66,000 people, there was only one place to get groceries before the pandemic. So that's why we stepped up and stepped in, and we've created about a half a dozen locations where people can go and get groceries if they're in need.
Okay.
And like in California, I mean, growing up in Iowa, it wasn't quite the same, literally not at all. But the cost of living just blows my mind every time we come out and go to a game or went to go to a game or visit Claire and George. The cost for living in California blows my mind. And so something that we talked about on our pre-call was really the difference between some people having to choose to pay rent and then choosing to get groceries. And so making that choice or eliminating that choice for them is very special and something that more and more people have been dealing with lately. So
yeah. Or then I heard too, putting gas in the car, because you're right, because people got to get to work, that commute. And so there's a lot of core kind of factors. And then, Bill, just to kind of clarify too, the jail release in the counties, and so at least as I was reading your materials right now, you guys are active in up to 8 counties. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then I know the jail releases, do you have a vague idea about what were the numbers with all the different jail and city, releases? What kind of numbers hit the streets with those jail releases, if you know?
I don't know how many total were released, but I know that it added in Santa Clara County alone about 2,000 people to the number of people that are experiencing homelessness on the street.
Okay. Yeah. And just as
that's close to a 20% increase.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really tough. And, you're right, because I've worked with probation and parole. And so, know the pre-parole kind of whole routine. You're in jail. You got to have an approved department or someplace to go. They want you to have a job and all that kind of stuff. And so if you're just sitting there and you haven't done anything and all of a sudden they walk in and say, hey, it's too risky to keep you here because we got COVID and we don't want you to get sick. See you later. And now you walk out the door and you're like, okay, well, now what? And do appreciate you guys kind of filling in kind of those gaps as well. So,
yeah. So,
quick story on that, just to tell you, I ran into a woman who she'd been released from jail. She went up to the city police officers and said, there's a bench warrant out for my arrest. Can you take me back? And they refused to take her back. That was back in, I think, late April.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty staggering.
Yeah.
Yeah. the importance of getting him out of the jail and not even recognizing the bench war. That's pretty tough.
So how big of an area do you guys cover?
We cover 8 counties: Alameda County, San Mateo County, Santa Clara County, Santa Cruz County, Monterey County, San Benito County, Merced County, and parts of Fresno County.
And that's with a huge staff of 12.
With a staff of 12 and a lot of volunteers.
I was going to say,
a lot of volunteers.
Got to be there's an army behind you. What kind of numbers do you have it? Like, what are you thinking as far as volunteers? It just must be huge in all those places.
Well, we get tens of thousands of volunteer hours every year to make it happen. We have folks that come in the morning and help us build sandwiches, cut up fruits and vegetables. We make over 5,000 sandwiches every week as part of our meal program. And then we have folks that come in the afternoon and help us serve. And quite frankly, your organization's been part of that for many, many years. And groups come in, and whether it's individuals or groups, they come in and help us actually dish up the meals and serve the meals. And that reduces the number of staff members that we have to have. And, thank goodness we have the volunteers that step up and do that work.
Yeah, so referencing the Niners. And so the 49ers came out, at least we were in town for Thanksgiving last year. And had the opportunity to come out with George and the players to Martha's Kitchen. And actually, I served whatever the meat was. I know I'm not remembering. Must have been turkey because it was Thanksgiving. So it was.
I was a greeter at the front door.
Yeah, so
I was a greeter.
I was putting, either chicken breast or if they want a darker white meat or whatever. So I was putting the old stuff on, and then next to a mashed potato server. So we were trying to combo pretty well, but it was quite the experience. So we had quite the line, and it was really an event. And actually, and we just, we talked to Mike McGlinchey and George about that, and they said one of the things they really enjoyed the most about it, and I really reflected on that. It was true when things slowed down a little bit, when the serving was kind of down off the peak. Then we had a chance to kind of go out, and that was when you could still sit next to people and talk a little bit. And they both kind of shared stories about meeting people, hearing their story a little bit, and just talking with them about that. And it really was kind of eye-opening for them and appreciative as that. So that was really a great event for us as well.
But besides the 49er as volunteers, how has your volunteer demographic changed since COVID and the pandemic has kind of swept and had an impact? Because obviously older generation has been encouraged to stay in. So what does that look like for y'all?
Yeah, so our backbone of regular volunteers, people that come every week, every morning or every afternoon, consists of a large number of retirees. And yes, they are older. And when COVID hit, most of them were told by their family, you stay home or you're going to die. And so we've seen very little from them. And it's an interesting story there because when they left, obviously we got shorthanded. The first week we were really wondering, oh, gee, what are we going to do and how are we going to do this? And then something very interesting happened. I had always wondered about the younger generation and if they would step up when they got older. And all of a sudden, the younger generation was sitting at home. They couldn't go to work. And they started stepping up and volunteering. And it was miraculous. And it has kept us going the last 6 months. And granted, some of them have gone back to work along the way and so forth. A few of them have turned into regular volunteers. But I have to tell you, it's really heartwarming for me because I was really wondering, what is the world going to be like when this older generation who has suffered, whether it was World War II, the Depression, or otherwise, and really understood that neighbors needed neighbors and people needed to help people. What would the world be like when they, got older and moved on and this younger generation came along? And now I have my answer. And the answer is it's inside the younger generation too. They do care about their neighbor. They care about their fellow man. And obviously not everybody fits one size, but there's a lot of people out there who do care and will step up and will volunteer. And they've kept our ranks filled for the last 6+ months. And we're very appreciative and very grateful for that.
Right.
And something you said, so before we do actually this interview, we always have our pre-calls. And Bill, something you said yesterday really rocked me when you were comparing people of an older generation who have suffered with the Depression and, like you just said, World War II, and thinking that COVID is this massive, burden or situation crisis that our country is going through, and how it's like, it's just a part of who we are now, and it's this framework. And so to see people peeling back this layer of like what is the norm, and just being on social media and being disconnected and seeing how we can't live that way anymore and we can't not know our neighbors, has been inspiring, and it's pretty cool to see.
I mean, one of the constant themes from our interviews is this notion about kind of we the people, that we all live in community, we need community, we are the community. And there's a sense, I think, that in a way, before this we were pretty isolated, and then COVID drove us into some isolation. But then I think in the context of that isolation, there was a realization about how much we all need community and we need our neighbors. And I think that time is even more prominent now, because I think the same story, when the COVID stories came out from the other agencies we've talked to, all of them said kind of that same piece. And then it was amazing when they put out the cry for help that there were people that showed up and that were willing to roll up their sleeves. And the more connected we are and the more we appreciate each other's plight and the more we reach out, then the stronger we all are. So it's been quite a piece for us. So, yeah, okay.
A silver lining to the cloud.
Yeah. There you go. And
we're still in it. That's what's crazy. Okay. So This is another thing that is very interesting to me. So how long, because obviously as executive director, we talked to another food bank, Second Harvest, in our first week, and they were saying that they were planning for COVID, like planning for operation to be extended, like COVID. What's the word?
The 18-month thing?
Yeah, the 18-month thing.
Yeah. So they're planning on. There's no post-COVID planning for them right now. They were on an 18-month kind of calendar, and then they were going to review it after 12, because they just feel like the limitations on volunteers and contact, what they've done to kind of sustain their organization. They're planning kind of an 18-month window to be reviewed every 6 months, depending on the CDC and the health and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's what she was wondering about. And where is that going for you guys?
Yeah. Have you guys put any numbers out like that, or is that kind of on a calendar?
We too are planning for a long haul, not so much because we don't believe that at some point there'll be a vaccine and people will be able to have contact with each other. But even once you have a vaccine and people can start going back to school and to work and going into theaters and doing these normal things again, the people who live on the edge, which is the people that we service, they will be the last ones to get back to work and get lifted out of this situation. And so even, should a vaccine be available, say, next month, we know it's going to take months to get America vaccinated. That's not a 1 week task. And then once that's done and people can start living normal again, going to restaurants, it's going to take some time for life to get completely back to normal. And these people on the margins are going to be the last ones to get pulled out.
Yeah. Whatever that normal is, I think it's probably going to be a little bit different. I'm just, like my old days, I'm not much of a CPA type person, but you talk about accounting, right? First in, last out. And that, to me, that population that you serve, they're the first ones impacted. They're the first ones laid off. They're the first ones to get evicted. They're the first ones in that situation, all that stuff. And then they're going to be the last ones out, so that the COVID ripple for them will probably last longer than for anybody else. So a lot of planning and foresight there. Right.
And that's why organizations like ours and Second Harvest Silicon Valley are looking at 18 months, not because we're not thinking that, it's going to be 18 months till we have a vaccine, but we're thinking it may be 18 months until you start to see large numbers of people fall into a place in life where they don't need the safety net to this degree.
Yeah. Start getting back on their feet and get the foundation of all those things taken care of. So let's see. Okay. So Bill, just kind of thinking about it, I guess I'll offer two questions and maybe you can touch them either way you want. Just, when you have gotten to know folks who are homeless and or they are housed but on the edge and you guys are serving them, what kind of life situations, are there any of the systemic issues that are out there that are kind of chronic that typically trip people up? And then part two would be just, are there long-term solutions that you guys are involved in and or that you would advocate for?
Well, there's a variety of reasons that people end up on the margins and on the streets. And we touched on a little bit, a little bit of it before. Mental health is definitely a factor, and medical issues are definitely a factor. And those are probably the top two things. There's people out there that just simply lost their job. There's people that just found themselves in a myriad of unfortunate situations. Fights with families actually puts people on the street a lot of times. So there's a wide range. In terms of solutions, unfortunately, there's no magic fairy dust to just solve this. And I think a lot of people would like to see that. I think the number of folks living on the street has gotten to a point where, at least in California, people can't not notice it. As you drive around the Bay Area, you can't get on an on-ramp, an off-ramp, and not notice it. There was a time where the numbers were smaller and the folks could hide behind the bushes and the trees and be a little less visible. And if you didn't look hard for them, you didn't see them. But the numbers have swelled to a point you can't go anywhere. San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland, or even smaller cities like Gilroy and even Hollister that I mentioned earlier, and not see it. What are the long-term solutions? Well, unfortunately, it takes a number of pieces of the puzzle. Building housing definitely helps, but that still doesn't get people fed. We're in the business to make sure they get fed, because that's just a basic necessity like air and water to sustain life. Mm-hmm. Having the community awareness and having people actually care for their neighbors is actually a big part of it, because as we press our local and state and even federal officials to do things to help, to allocate funds to help, it starts with the people. I mean, we are a democracy. We go to the ballot box, we vote, and we put pressure on our politicians, and they're going to follow the lead of what the people lead them to. If the people are not aware, if the people don't care about the issue, then it's not going to be a priority for the politicians to allocate funding and do things for. That's starting to shift. That's starting to change, because it's more visible now. And so, I think we'll continue to see some evolution, but unfortunately, I think the problem's going to get worse before it gets better in the short run.
Right. Especially as we transition through and hopefully out of COVID with all that. Well, then, how can people help? So what would you, so if people are listening or watching, what would you ask them? How can they do something for Martha's Kitchen and or the bigger issues?
When you ask how people can help, people have time, treasure, or talent. It's very rare they have all three available to give at once, but they usually have at least one of those things that they can give. If they have time, they can come down and volunteer. They can be part of that army that helps us actually prep the food or serve the food, that type of thing. If they have treasure, it takes money to run an organization like this, and obviously donations are always welcome and help. And occasionally we run into people who have talent, who are able to help in one way or another, whether it's, for example, what's happening with you guys today. I mean, you guys are sharing your talent and sharing your communication lane to help others learn about the situation. So everybody has a different gift that they can give. So there's plenty of ways that they can get involved, and all they've got to do is go to our website. There's information on volunteering, donating, and so forth that are right there.
Which will be linked in the show notes.
Yep. So link for how to donate money and or to sign up or hook up for volunteers would be there as well. So
something that you keep saying is like, it's funny because it's one of those situations where like you hear something over and over and over, and then sometimes it just hits you kind of different. But when you're saying like an army of volunteers, I think it's interesting to think about that, because obviously in the political world right now, there's a lot of different ideas of armies and like what's going on and like where do we need to put our resources and everything. And when you think about an army, it's a massive, massive force combined of like so many different people who are so many different roles for something. And so when you think about what it's going to take to end hunger, like this basic human right that we want to give to people, like it's going to take an army, and it doesn't have to have weapons. It doesn't have to have funding. You don't have to get paid to do it. You don't have to commit your entire life to it. But thinking about how you can be a part of that army to show a little bit of love and compassion to your people, especially like, I mean, exactly what you said, like when we drive through San Jose now and the amount of people that are on the side of the road or under the bridge, like you can't not see it, and pretending that they're not there is literally the worst thing that you can do. And so whether you have time, whether you have treasures, whether you have talent, I mean, social media is a talent for so many people. So if you have the resources, like get out there and say something. Like our youth is so techie, right? So like do something with it. And so, so
Call to arms by the 30-something. Excellent.
The 30-something. Not quite.
Not quite.
October 17th, y'all.
Yeah, so a birthday
Get ready for the
her,
birthday.
Well, very good. Well, Bill, that kind of exhausts us. Anything else you want to offer that we haven't asked you about that we should have? Have we?
Talking about the concept of it takes an army, and it does. It takes a lot of people. Whether you want to say it takes a village, it takes an army, it takes a number of people, it takes a community of people that actually love their neighbors, care about their neighbors. That's really what I mean by that. The other little piece that I'll give you, which you can take or you can throw out, and I talk about this. I probably should have mentioned this in the pre-call yesterday. I just didn't think of it. When you see this stratification between the haves and the have-nots out there, and we're living in the richest community in the world, in the Bay Area, and yet we have more people suffering and in need. And one of the things that comes into question sometimes is the basic concept of capitalism. Adam Smith in Wealth of Nations wrote about capitalism. There's two major parts to his book. And the first part is what most people think of with capitalism. He who works harder or has the better idea becomes more successful and basically gets more credits, money, whatever you want to call it, and gets to enjoy those things in life. But there's a second part of the book that often gets overlooked. And what Adam Smith talks about in the second part of the book, where he basically outlines the principle of capitalism, is he who becomes successful has an obligation to take care of the system that made him successful and take care of the society that made him successful. And that often gets overlooked and forgotten. And it's a very important part. And we do have corporate partners that do have philanthropic mindset and do help. And I'm talking to one right now, the San Francisco 49ers. They care about their community. They give back. They give back time, they give back treasure, and they give back talent, all to different organizations at different times in different ways. It's a wonderful thing. Unfortunately, not all organizations, not all individuals who are successful do. And that's what I was talking about earlier with that whole fear that I had about, is the future going to be a me generation? Not everyone, but there is an obligation that the successful have that's outlined in the basic principle of capitalism to support the very society and system that allowed that success to happen in the first place.
Yeah. Right. The opportunity to give back. I don't know. If you rode the elevator up, when you get off, you better push it back down so some other people can get on and
rebuild it. Like, how did you get there?
Right. So, well, we're certainly encouraging all that kind of stuff.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So bigger discussion. And so the invite is big. So whether we're a single individual in a small company or larger, that opportunity to look out the window and feel connected to that larger community and the people that are there. I remember back to the kind of Reaganism years, that as the water rises and they talked about the economy, then, everybody's boat goes up. But the reality is there's a lot of folks with holes in their boat and they end up drowning or, really struggling. And so we need to help repair some of those boats and give people some life vests and help people sustain in a longer term kind of fashion. So appreciate very much those
you can
insights.
do that by registering to vote.
Yep, reminder too. So we are still a few weeks away from that. So if you haven't registered, in most states you still can. And at least here in Tennessee,
you can do it safe. You can do it online. You can get ballots through the mail.
And early voting starts.
You can do it on social media.
Another, I think, 10 days here. We start the early voting here. So if you can early vote and if you can help with the polls and do all those kind of things. So, well, Bill, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work you and your staff and all the volunteers at Martha Kitchen do. And if we're able by Thanksgiving to participate in something out there, we'll come by and see you guys. And if not, we'll wish you guys the very best. So thank you so much.
And we will contribute with talent and treasure in other ways. If we can't be there in person, then...
Yeah. No doubt.
We shall be there in spirit.
All right. Well, thank you again, Bill. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. You bet. Take care.
Good luck in the game tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, to the next segment of our podcast. I'm very excited and honored to introduce Billy Rodriguez. He has been a volunteer with Martha's Kitchen for over 22 years. He's faced a little bit of homelessness and is now at a shelter in place, and he is here to tell his story and the work that he does with Martha's. So, Billy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, let's, hi, Billy. Again, just thank you so much for taking time to talk to us again today. And as we were talking before we got started, that the Hidden Pearls podcast, part of the Hidden Pearls is really people like yourself, organizations like Martha's, people like Bill and the staff there at Martha's who do so much work to help people within the community who are in need. So really appreciate all you do. So let's start off first, though, with the kind of volunteer piece. Tell us a little bit about when we asked you and you said you've been volunteering for 22 plus years. That is a long time to be volunteering. So
yeah, I've seen a lot of people.
Yeah, I bet you have. So tell us, how did you get involved with Martha's in the first place? How did you stick around for so long? And, like, what do you do?
My mother and Father Mateo at the Catholic Church.
Okay. So right at the Catholic Church there next door to Martha's?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a real natural connection. So 22.
Yeah, it's a, go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead and finish. Yeah.
It's more of a spiritual connection with them, and then being here, you know, these people in this building are like my family. So,
okay, because the buildings are actually connected where they serve the food. That's part of the Catholic Church. There, is that right?
No, actually, that's a whole different thing. We, you know.
All right.
But yeah, as far as feeding the people, that's what I do.
Okay, so got started because part of your faith, or at least for your parents, and that was part of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And so got introduced to Martha's Kitchen and so started volunteering. And then what have you done over the years, different roles, or how's that looked?
I've owned a business. I've been a manager for a lot of places. As far as the kitchen, I grew up around the kitchen.
Okay.
And, you know, I've done a lot of volunteer work, so.
All right. And what actual roles do you do at Martha's as a volunteer? Do you do a little bit of everything, or?
I'm the multitasker here.
Okay. All right.
Everything. I go everywhere. They like to keep me in the kitchen when it's all right, though.
Okay.
But if they need my help other places, I jump in there.
All right. Yeah, I think when we were there, we had about a bunch of that too. So we served for a while until it slowed down, and then we're out front and cleaning up and doing a lot of things going on when they're feeding people like that. So, all right. And then, so let me just ask you then, so as you got involved and you talked a bit about being a spirit thing, what's kept you volunteering at Martha's? I mean, why would you volunteer at Martha's for all these years?
Well, it's, again, Father Mateo, he says you're going to bounce off the path, but always come back to where you started from. And I've done that ever since.
Okay. I mean, do you have a notion that you...
Well, in the beginning, I had a bad marriage, a divorce, and, you know, that you just get spiritually linked. Plus, I was in South Dakota for a long time, too, so I became spiritually linked to the natives. So,
okay.
And that changes you with time, you know. Coming back here and doing the work, it's about feeding the people. It's not about, you know, taking clients from doing stupid things. It's about feeding other organizations.
Why is it important to you to feed other people?
It's turned into a passion. It's my calling. So that's where I feel it's good for me to help out with this place.
Okay. So the volunteer,
you're dealing with a lot of food.
Yeah, right. And there's clearly a huge need. I mean, we talked to Bill Lee just before this.
Well, yeah, the responsibility is loyalty. My father was very organized as far as staying with a certain job. He's always said to us, if you like a job, stick with it. You know, your loyalty will grow in time.
Okay.
So I've kind of hung with it, you know. Right.
So kind of a desire, calling to give back, to help other people, to feed folks.
No, my whole family's like this.
Okay.
We always help somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, it always works out.
Okay. And then you've had quite a bit of contact with people who come to Martha's for food, I'm imagining. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah. Hanging on the creekways. Yeah. I know a lot of them.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
They have their own, you know, problems and everything, but they still come here because we're not evil. You know, we serve good food, and, you know, a lot of them I know by personally, you know.
How far away are the creekways from Martha's Kitchen?
Maybe a block and a half from here. And you just go down the walk with the creekways, and you'll find homeless shelters everywhere.
Okay. And then So you we're talking about 22 years. So you've been since early 2000s have been a volunteer at Martha's Kitchen, and then had worked and done other pieces, and then somewhere around you had an injury which resulted in you being placed on SSDI, and that was working out pretty good. And then something happened about 3 years ago that made things a little bit more difficult.
We fixed it, but they stopped it, so that put me in a screwed position. I suffer with identity theft, unfortunately, so there's other people helping me take care of that. So as far as my personal information.
Okay. But about 3 years ago, did you move from kind of having your own place into either sheltering or down by the creek?
Well, actually, I had my own house in East Porterville. I had a nice little country home.
Okay.
And the landowner screwed me out a lot of money. So then with my SSDI stopping, that forced me to go out in the streets. So.
Okay. So for the last 3 years then, you've been without your own place?
Excuse me?
So for the last 3 years, you've been without your
I've been living in shelters.
Okay. So, and where are you currently staying?
No, I stay at shelter in place over the fairgrounds, Gate C.
Okay. And how long have you been there?
Since April.
Okay. And can you just tell us a little bit about what that's like and how many people are there and how it's structured? And all
There's
that?
about 60 people there, 60 beds. I mostly going there to sleep, and that's it. And I'm usually here all the time, so
Okay.
I'm hardly ever around. But there's other people that I've gotten to know. They're all really nice. They all have their own personal problems,
Okay.
It's somewhere to go than being on a bridge or sleeping along the creek. It's a lot better than sleeping on the ground.
Okay. And did you have a time period in your life where you weren't sheltering in place and that you were outside?
No, when I was working and living on my own, yeah.
Okay.
I had a job, and in fact, in the past, I worked a landscaping business, and I still came here and I gave my time.
Okay. So what was it like being out on the creek and being outdoors and surviving that way?
It wasn't fun. It was not fun. It's something that I would say for anybody to go out there and do it. No way. Some of them choose to be out there where I choose not to be out there.
Okay. All right. And Billy, just, with your kind of exposure to, all the folks that you've met, both feeding and within that homeless context, have you seen certain things that for people that are kind of consistent or like forced people into these situations, or what are some of the things going on?
Like recently one of the guys, the homeless guys, he gave him a $250 ticket. The police pulled over and gave him a ticket for not wearing a mask. Why don't they just give him a mask instead of giving him a huge bill he can't pay?
Oh.
That's
I mean, think about it. I mean, I understand everybody's got to wear the mask, but if you're still inebriating them, you should be giving them the mask instead of charging them a bill they can't pay for it.
Okay.
Just kick them while they're down a little bit.
Huh.
Well, yeah, it's not right.
No.
Right. All right. Well, Billy, let me ask you this then: is just with your experience there at Martha's and that, if people were wanting to either help, kind of on a long-term thing, are there policy things or kind of systemic issues that people could do, or otherwise, how can people get involved with Martha's and try to help out?
Come down and volunteer.
Okay.
And we need our volunteers. Trust me, without our volunteers, we don't have anything.
Okay.
We'd have a lot of employees that have to employ more. So people like me and other people that come in, they do it. A lot of them, like the regulars that come in, it's a passion. It's like a routine. When I'm not here, I was missing this place.
Okay. All right, so sign up for volunteer. We're going to have a link on our page, so that'll be up there. Obviously, probably could donate money too, so we'll make that available. Anything else you'd encourage?
What's your favorite thing about Martha's? I mean, because you said you missed it. So while you were away, what did you?
Well, it's like I said, they're like my family here. I've been here for a long time. I've seen a lot of employees come in and go, and like my best friend, he's the one I follow his lead. That's his time. So of operation hours, I'm here. So I do 6 days a week, which is a passion, It's how do you explain that? It's hard to explain on camera.
I understand that. I understand that. So your slogan, the Feeding the Hungry with Dignity, I think is really special and amazing that's what you guys really focus on. Could you talk a little bit about that and maybe just what it means to you to, because obviously people who are dealing with food insecurities or living in difficult situations, which I think a lot of people are facing right now.
Well, it's a passion.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
the
and
people, yeah, you know how many people I've met over the years in this place would blow your mind. But yeah, it's a passion, you know, and to see them come in every week, the same clients over and over every week, at least we know whether they're okay, you know, they're getting fed. You know, I do what I can, the ones that do come by, you know, but it's a passion. And giving back, that's what I was taught, and that's pretty much what I know how to do.
do you feel like you still have those spiritual ties, like through, like every time you serve, do you feel that spiritual connection when you volunteer?
Well, see, now I don't really serve. I'm either chopping or dicing or
Okay.
prepping.
So do you feel a spiritual connection when you're chopping veggies?
Right, or if I'm outside, I smoke, and you know, and I sit outside and I talk to all the homeless, or they come up to me and say, "Hey, Bill, what's for lunch or what's for dinner?" You know, of course, and I tell them, and you know, it's all about a respect thing, which is cool, you know.
It is, and it's that human to human connection, and I think that's what's so important about volunteers, especially like you, who.
Well, everybody needs happy endorphins.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and so I mean, having that connection with someone and giving your time and your energy, and also your words and your communication and your conversation is a gift, especially when people feel really isolated. So
Yeah, well, like they come out of the blue and say, "Hey, can you help me with this question?" Or they have problems with their phones. It's like, okay, I can take a couple minutes to help you figure your phone out. Then
a man of all trades.
So friendship,
Well,
kindness, respect, and dignity. All pretty good stuff.
No,
So you can come to Martha's and you can get a meal and be treated with respect.
And Bill will help you to do your phone.
Yeah.
Maintain dignity and get your phone fixed. So, well, very good. Well, Bill, anything else you'd want people to know about Martha's that we haven't talked about?
If you want to learn from Martha's, I'd say come here. If you want to other organizations that want to learn, I'd say come to us, because in the past others have come to us and they've set up their little ports or their hubs somewhere else. So it's a good learning lesson. If somebody's never been out, like people that work every day, most organizations will give you the perks for coming. So that's why I say come on in.
All right.
The more volunteers is better. We don't
right.
push them away. We make sure they come in.
Okay.
Unless we're overflow, and then it's a different story.
Right. So come get to know your neighbor, get to know your community, and help out while you're doing it.
Yeah,
So,
actually, I know a lot of the neighbors that live around this place too. So,
okay. You'll probably
have you seen like more of a younger generation coming into volunteer since the pandemic?
Actually, it's mostly the high schools, the colleges come. They get their credit hours. We don't really turn away anybody. I suggest if you guys want to come check us out, come on in and check us out.
All right. Well, Billy, we appreciate your time very, very much. We wish you the very best of luck and keep rolling on. It sounds like you're going to be kind of a lifer there at Martha's, so I'm sure the next time we're in, we'll get a chance to see you. So wish you the best of luck in the sheltering in place and getting through the transitions and with the SSD.
Hopefully, my Lord, hopefully, my God, it ends soon. So I'm on the list for waiting for a house. So,
okay.
That's the most important thing, is me get off the streets. I'm tired of doing this.
Right. Okay.
As far as this place, it'll take a wild buffalo to keep me from here.
Okay. Well, very good. All right. Well, we'll watch out for those wild buffaloes. Well, all right, Billy, we'll appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast, and we wish you the very best. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Bye-bye. All right. We are back, and after listening to Billy there, kind of talked to us a little bit after a little bit more of Martha's Kitchen. So very grateful to have him on. Each week we are also adding the other kind of segment for us is something called the Mindful Minute. So this week, into week 4, we are now into step 3 of the old MAP, that is Mindful Awareness and Performance, 8-point path to mindfulness. So
8-point path to mindfulness.
There you go. All right. So we talked about conscious awareness was kind of step 1. And again, these aren't very linear. These are kind of circular and they overlap and all that kind of stuff, but you got to number them a little bit. So conscious awareness. Last week we talked about controlled breath. And this week, kind of part 3 is what we call the calm mind. So calm mind for us is actually, it's kind of the result of the first 2. So with the conscious awareness and using our breath, we're able to kind of settle everything down. And so it means exactly that, staying within kind of the calmness of the mind. So big term for me, anyway, working on it. So I'm going to try to just talk about a little bit is something called equanimity. Equanimity. So I had to kind of look that up. But anyway, so basically what equanimity is
it's like you're saying like anemone, like sea anemone.
Oh, I like that too. So hey,
equanimity.
Mission Blue. We'll talk about that. So anyway, so supporting the ocean. Anyway, that is basically not attaching it's staying neutral with things that happen. So we've talked before about how thoughts and emotions are in and of themselves are neither good nor bad. So the calm mind gives you the opportunity to kind of just, see it, observe it, and what's going on. And so you kind of have this level of what we talk about as acceptance. Not that what's going on necessarily is okay, and you may not like it, but it's just a recognition of this is my current reality. So there's an honest and clear assessment about what's going on with it. So in that state, then you can take a little bit better look at it. And when you do it through the calm mind, then that's where we talk about the delay between stimulus and response. And so then when all this happens to you, you're not assessing. And a lot of times what we do is through our education, our life experiences, our training, our worldview, that's where we assess meaning to certain events. And if we can suspend latching or labeling or doing all that kind of stuff to these events and just be with them, then we can select out what the appropriate response might be for us. So that's really what we're kind of working on. So again, calm mind and using your breath work, your conscious awareness to stay in that kind of neutral place, not assess too much meaning to anything, and then working out of that. And again, being clear about who you want to be in these situations, and through the calm mind, you can make selective choices about how you want to respond to certain situations. So encouragement, stay calm, stay curious, and really you're constantly looking at things and asking, what's the lesson in this for me? And the calm mind can lead you to the answer.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the thing that keeps coming up for me is to remember that it's a process, and you can't just decide like, okay, calm mind, zen. I wish that's how it worked.
Right.
That's not how it's worked for me, but it's not something like a light switch you just flip. It's a process. And so that's why we call it an 8-step path, because conscious awareness and then paired with controlled breath helps you to find that controlled mind. And yes, last week I talked a lot about a meditation that has really, really helped me. And I'd be so curious to hear if any of y'all did it, because it's so fire. But there's a big step for me to get to that calm mind. And there's like, when I meditate or when I am kind of getting in that zone, like that's sacred space for me. And you have to protect it and honor it and use it, because the calm mind can't come if I roll out of bed and scroll Instagram for 30 minutes and then just go right into my day and drink coffee. Like that's not it. Like for me, a calm mind is like, I have to wake up first thing in the morning I do is meditate. I can't get on my phone. Then I go downstairs and I take Dane for a walk. I work out, and then I'm in this flow. And it's like I clear the space from the physical, like the earthly realm, the things like the day-to-day kind of junk that gets in the way of the person and the energy that I want to be. And so to have a calm mind, it's a process. And I think that some people get so freaked out by like not having a calm mind. And this is literally I'm rolling my eyes to the back of my head if you're listening to this on the podcast. This is like the number one thing. It's like when you're a yoga teacher and somebody's like, I'm too flexible to stretch or do yoga. And you're like, well, sounds like you need it. Like, right? Like, sounds like you need it. It's the same thing, right? So when people are like, I'm too scattered to meditate. If you're using the word scattered to describe yourself or to describe an event, like I'm running around, like I'm losing it, like all this stuff, like you need to, stillness gets you there. So those are my thoughts.
Okay. I guess I just want to emphasize on the point that Emma did make, though, that you just don't snap into it. It's like everything. And so for you athletes out there who are following us and thinking about the things that you're doing, again, this all connects to the conscious awareness, the controlled breath. And then when you're in your moment of stress with the calm mind, then you connect the body, and the body will respond in the way you want. And so, but again, it has to be practiced over and over and over, so that it is just like everything else you do, whether it's running or lifting weights, stretching and flexibility, speed, drill work, anything. You have to practice it, create muscle memory, and it's the exact same thing that you're doing with your mind. So working on that calm mind. And then our action step for this week is just in the moment. So if you're doing the conscious awareness and maybe the controlled breath, if you have situations that normally you would assess as, ooh, yuck, or whatever, try this issue with equanimity. And you could actually practice saying it. But try to stay neutral with things and don't assess a lot of judgment around it, and just review it, look at it. And in particular, remember, thoughts are just thoughts. And see if you can kind of analyze your emotions and don't label them either good or bad, and then make conscious choices about how you want to respond to the world. So that's our Mindful Minute for today, and we appreciate you guys being with us, and thank you very much.
Love it. All right, everybody, we are here with Ask George. Brother Bear, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so we had a couple long questions, and since we're a little smooshed on time, we're going to do one. So this is from Rob Coleman.
Hey, Rob. How are you
about
today,
us
Rob?
from the Hidden Pearls podcast. Thank you. Okay, this is our question. Oh, hey there, George. Just wondering what
You
is
got to
your
say it with the accent, or else I won't answer the question.
Okay. All right. So this is coming in two parts. So, oh, hey there, George. Just wondering, what is your favorite pro wrestling match of all time, and can we be best friends?
Wow.
What do you think?
Wow. My favorite wrestling match of all time. I don't know. I have a favorite wrestling moment. Is actually the first WrestleMania I ever watched start to finish was when Seth Rollins cashed in Money in the Bank against Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And that was the WrestleMania at Levi's Stadium, which is also cool.
Were you
and people
playing
don't
that?
really understand. A lot of people don't get that I became a wrestling fan in college, big time. I was not a fan of it growing up. I knew who The Rock and Stone Cold were and everything like that. So I missed a lot of the great matches back then. I've gone back and watched them as of now, but to see it live, that was a pretty special moment because I also like Seth Rollins because he's from Iowa, and that's but him cashing in, and also because he lost earlier in the day to Randy Orton, which was also a sick match as well. So that's one of my favorite wrestling moments.
Can we get the, what does Randy do?
His celebration when he wins. Sorry.
Ooh.
Gotta get up on the top rope though.
Tiny spandex.
Watch out, watch out, watch out. The Viper. Sorry.
Love it. I also love that you're using your microphone. It's super cute. Okay.
I've been
I
using
have
it
an
this whole
extra
time. I just wanna hold it
toboggan
close.
you can borrow anytime you want. That's super nice.
Oh, you have a toboggan, eh?
Hey, in all seriousness, thank you to the entire Kittle family for getting the word out on all these great causes around the country. George, did you have an aha moment when you realized not only you could play in the league, but be one of the best?
I don't know.
Was it when you started doing MAP with Thunderbird Performance?
No, it was before that. I don't know if I had an aha moment. I'd have to think about that. I think it was more of a I just realized that I kept getting better and better when I put my mind to it, and I eliminated distractions.
That's
and
MAP for all of you. That's MAP. We're gonna get into that in the mindful minute, but
in a mindful minute.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, we do.
You
the
just
mindful
interrupted
minute.
me in the middle of my story.
Sorry, brother.
I'm offended.
Don't be offended.
hurtful.
Dad, talking to the mic. I can't hear you.
I'm touching the mic.
I said,
I'm touching the mic too.
All right. So
for those who are getting into podcasting or haven't, a good gauge is if you have a beard to let your whiskers tickle a mic.
Let the whisker tipple.
I'm the beard whisperer.
I don't have that.
I'm the mic whisperer.
I just have lip gloss on. I'm ruining it. Okay, answer the question.
My lip
Aha
gloss be
moment.
popping. All right, what do you want me to
Lip gloss be
say?
cool.
What was the question?
Did you have an aha
My
moment?
aha moment?
Yeah. When was it?
I think it was somewhere in my second year. I think I just kind of figured out the run game. And then once I started figuring out the run game, I was like, I was like, the pass stuff game, I can obviously get better at, but when you, because I love run blocking, and I was very, very okay my rookie year. That's a way to say that I sucked. Just a nice way of saying I wasn't very good. It's very, very okay.
Very,
hey, dude, that guy's very, very average. That was me my rookie year. And I think what clicked, I couldn't tell you what game it was. I think it was against Kansas City my second year, I would have to say. I started the game with a drop, which was really fun and exciting. But then after that, I actually had a great game. I had I think I almost had 100 receiving yards, a bunch of broken tackles. I was rumbling, bumbling, stumbling around. I passed pro great. I did run blocking great. And that's when my position coach said, he was like, hey, this is the best game you've had of your career. This was really good football. You've had two bad snaps that entire game. And it was the drop pass. And I had maybe a pass pro versus D4 that I wasn't the greatest on, but overall I played like a really, really good game. And he was like, you got to stack these one at a time the rest of the season. And he goes, that's how you get your confidence up, and that's how you're going to become a great player. And I think I was like, all right, like I can do this. And I think it just kind of took off from there, because I think that was week 3. Because the week before versus Detroit, I played all right. I did all right in the run game, but I only had like 2 catches for like 20 yards. But that third game and on, I definitely, it just kind of clicked for me, and the attention to detail that I put into kind of everything. And I also realized early on in that second year that the worst thing about football is when you go to the line of scrimmage and you have no idea what to do. Mm-hmm. Like, there's not a worse feeling. It's pretty bad. Like, you get to the line, you're like, I don't know what route I have, who are we going to, who's the mic, like, you don't know. And so I spend a lot of time just studying our playbook and the looks. And so every time, no matter what the play is called, by like the third word of the play call, I know what the play is. I know what my assignment is. And then when I line up, I don't have to think about what am I doing. I'm thinking about how do I do this the easiest way and the best way possible. And so that was one of the biggest clicks that happened for me. And I think it really started the Minnesota game my second year. I didn't really have any MAs. And when you don't have any MAs, you go out there and you play football and you can have fun. So that was my aha moment, was probably the Chiefs game, I will say.
What's an MA?
Misassignment, or you can do an ME, which is mental error.
Mental error, yeah.
Those are not fun. I'd rather have a misassignment than a mental error. Those suck.
Well, but George, you know that what you talked about, though, the mental aspect of the game, I think is so hard for people to appreciate. And this is just my bias because you're my son. But the tight end position, because you're in the O-line, so you need to know all of that stuff with and we just, talked to Mike. So you got to understand all the triples and the combos and all that kind of stuff. And then you also have pass routes from that attached position, but then you can also be at any other receiver spot on the field. And so you also
don't forget pass pro as well. I got to know protections.
Yeah.
Those are really fun.
Yeah. So all of those combinations, there's a lot of mental. So the mental side of it really is, especially in the Kyle Shanahan offense, where you're in motion 80% of the time and moving, and people are moving and all that kind of stuff. So anyway,
I think that's cool. But another thing that I want to touch on is I think what George just said is what he did was get really good at his job. And I think something that people really do is kind of drown in what can I do to be great? What can I do to stand out? And it's you don't have to be this extra over the top person. You just have to be really, really good at what your assignment is and know it and show up. And then obviously once you know those things, I feel like once you became super dedicated to the mental side of it, I feel like that's when your personality and the playfulness of you as a football player really started to shine through, because you knew that you could have fun because you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. And like I said, when you're not worried about other things and the only thing that you're worried about is showing up at the stadium on time and playing football,
and your
it makes it a lot easier.
And
so, my shoes. But yeah, you actually you have to show up and you have to perform, but making sure you know everything that's going on makes it a lot easier. And so that's why the mental side of it, I've taken much more of a serious undertaking too. And that has made my life a lot easier.
Right. Okay.
All right, Georgie. Well, thank you so much for being on. For everybody who didn't watch the last show, George is doing a special giveaway, pair of signed gloves after the 5th episode. And then we're also doing a question. Did you want to tell people what your number was now, or do you want to do that next episode?
I can. I know no one got it right, so I'll just roll it on to the next episode.
Yeah, let's do the next one. I don't think anybody got it.
Okay,
no.
So George has a number in mind, and he's waiting for somebody to try to guess it.
Because they get
a free pair of gloves. And it's a number between 1 and, I don't know, there's 8 numbers in it.
Whoa.
Good luck.
1 in 1 million. Okay.
All right, let's narrow it down. It's a 2-digit number.
No, it's not.
Oh,
okay. Wow.
They're not your gloves. I have a limited amount of 2019 game gloves that I can give out.
This is true. Right. All right, y'all. Good luck.
I'm a stingy MFer.
So the hint is that it's actually an 8-digit number.
The hint's an 8-digit number, and all the numbers in it have something to do with me.
Ooh, there's 2 big hits
there. Do they have to all be in the correct order?
What do you think?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Of course they do.
I'm not going to make it too easy on these guys. What are you talking about?
These are cool gloves, y'all.
All right. They're very cool gloves.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Georgie. We love you. Stick around.
You look good at Mission Blue.
Thank you to Mission Blue for the t-shirts. It's soft, it's comfortable, but we really like their mission, which is to save the ocean. So thank you so much for that. Donate, do everything you guys can. But yes, thank you. Keep our oceans clean. And that is it for me. I will see you guys later. And I'm just going to let you go with the sweet serenity of my voice.
Ooh.
Have a great day. Have a great week.
Deep breath.
Panda, give you some Panda Express.
Drink some
and enjoy it.
All right, man. We love you. We'll see you later this week.
Hey, yeah. Oh,
You done?
Bum, 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 bum. All right, see you guys. I love you.
Oh, this is the end. Okay. And action, take 87. Action. Hey, thanks for joining us for episode 4. I just suddenly had a Star Wars kind of flash there, episode 4. But anyway, of the Hidden Pearls podcast, very glad that you watched the show. I hope you enjoyed it with different folks we had on. We will be in the Bay Area, so this is week 4 of the season. Niners got the Eagles coming up. And then after that, 2 more home games. So we will be here in the Bay Area. We'll be looking at local charities. Next week, we have a new Niner and a new charity. And really encourage you to tune in and listen to us for that. And again, get registered, go vote. And
you can find us on Instagram, Hidden Pearls Podcast, or ThunderbirdPerformance.com. That's where all of our our Mindful Minute pieces are from. And also, you can just see great photos of our family.
There you go. So anyway,
all right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And go Niners.
Thank you. Cut. Oh, now cut.